It's Tuba Billy. I want to talk about the State of the Union address from, kind of hairy there, from our former Vice President Joe Biden. It was exactly what I expected it to be. Same old, same old. Blaming accusations on the Republicans. Pretty much just going to be a campaign speech for his re-election campaign in 2024. Like, he didn't talk about what was going on in the Union. He talked about what was going to happen, what he was planning on doing, things that he had done, most of which were absolute complete lies. I mean, he talked about, the biggest economic growth in history. Well, no. I mean, just look at the economy. Look at the inflation. Said, oh, inflation is down. Well, okay, yeah, it's down from its peak, but it's still a whole heck of a lot higher than when you took office. So, in reality, actual living wages are down. Because despite, what growth in the economy and, raises or whatever, the actual wage, the actual money, spendable money has gone down because inflation is so much higher. And throwing out just blatant lies saying that Republicans wanted to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, and man, did that cause an uproar. Fact checking him on the spot. Basically, you lies, you're a liar. And he's an absolute liar. Everything he says is divisive. It's an absolute lie. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. They lied about how many Secret Service agents, how many White House staff people his dogs had bitten. If they're gonna lie about the dogs, then why the heck would they tell the truth about important things? So, yeah, I don't believe a single word he says. And then, on top of that, I saw an article today that, what was the dude's name? He went on MSNBC. He's like a Democratic, something or other. Not elected official. He just talks about Democratic stuff. He basically said there was a lot of white trash in the Republican Party. He has a PhD in white trashiness, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is dressed as white trash. Can you imagine if a Republican, if a conservative said that about one of the black Democrats? Oh yeah, they just dress like they're from the hood. Can you imagine the uproar? Can you imagine the outrage? There would be riots in the streets, I guarantee you. Because, white supremacy. But it's okay to make fun of white people because, you can't be racist against white people. That's what anti-racism teaches you. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's white trash, wearing what I thought was a very nice white fur coat. Said it was supposed to represent the Chinese spy balloon that Biden did absolutely nothing about until it had crossed over the entire continental United States. Yeah. Our southern border, he said it was secure. It is not. He said, we've procured, we've confiscated, 20,000 pounds of, fentanyl. Well, in reality, they say, statistics show Biden or border officials only grab about 5 to 10% of the drugs that cross the border. 5 to 10%. So you do the math on that. 20,000 pounds times, let's just say low ball, 5%. man, that's a lot of drugs being poured out. Same with the people. They apprehend, a certain percentage. It's not everybody. So there are ones that get through that don't. They have catch and release where they're letting these immigrants go, these illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. They're letting them go, not knowing who they are, not knowing their motives. It is just more divisiveness from a man who said he was going to be the president for all Americans. He said it again. It was a cringe fest. He said that Chuck Schumer was still the Senate minority leader. He's not. He had to correct himself. It is just, I don't understand how people can say Biden is doing a good job. Thousands of people are being laid off, from tech jobs particularly. I just saw Disney is about to lay off a few thousand people. So yeah, but the economy is booming. It's never been better. I don't believe you. I mean, just go look at any business. Pretty much everywhere has help wanted. They're desperate. They're giving signing bonuses. It's just, it's sad and it's pitiful. And then he talked about guns, of course. Talk about how we need to ban these assault weapons. You did it before, yeah, you did. It did absolutely nothing to combat gun violence in general. It didn't change. Because vast majority of gun violent crimes are not committed with your so-called alleged made-up term assault weapons. Assault rifles. They're not. It's handguns, inner city crime, gang-on-gang violence that accounts for a majority of this gun violence. Now, we've already seen hints, and they've already told us they're not just interested in the rifles. No, they want all guns. They want to ban all semi-automatic guns, which is virtually everything except for maybe muzzle loaders. Which, they've made the argument, the only gun they had were muzzle loading muskets when they wrote the Second Amendment, so that's the only thing it covers. Well, they used a quill and an inkwell, a quill pen and an inkwell to write, so the First Amendment shouldn't account for anything printed. There were no printing presses. There certainly was no internet. So anything that you say with, a ballpoint pen or a pencil, that doesn't apply, because that's not protected by the First Amendment, because those didn't exist when the First Amendment was written. Do you see the insanity in that argument? But back to the State of the Union, it was a disaster. And there were, of course, the pundits, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, all those Democratic news media outlets said, oh, it was great, it was wonderful. And, I don't get on Twitter a lot, but I have been lately just to see what's going on. And I've been seeing a lot more posts from POTUS, from the big guy himself. And it's just the same lies. There was one today saying the same lie, that Republicans wanted to get rid of Medicare and Social Security. That is a lie. I tweeted back and said, you promised to give anyone who asked the documents. I'm asking, give me the documents. Show me who is saying that. I doubt I'll get a response. I doubt it's even Biden that's tweeting. It's some intern. Oh my goodness. But it's just, it was a cringe fest. It was just unwatchable at times. And it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. You know, somebody tweeted, what do you think this State of the Union is going to be? I said, same old, blame Republicans, we're doing great, nothing to see here. And that's exactly what it was, 100%. Meanwhile, you've got families who can't afford food, who, you know, their utility bills are up, higher than they've ever been. Eggs, gosh, go buy a carton of eggs. $6, $7, if not more. Inflation is still going up, and all the things that you said you were going to do, Biden, guess what? That all costs money. Guess what that's going to do to the economy, and the inflation rate is just going to keep going up and up and up. Don't believe me? Ask an economist. You know, I'm just some poor Joe Schmuck American trying to make it in your dystopian nightmare. Anyway, so that's kind of my take on the State of the Union address. The Republicans' rebuttal was not really a rebuttal. Yeah, she said great things. That's basically the platform of the Republican Party. But it didn't rebut anything that Biden says. Of course, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that because, you know, it's a live speech, and it's hard to write an entire, you know, speech right after someone gives a speech. So, but you know, you could have known what he was going to talk about and say, hey, instead of, you know, let's talk about what jobs you want to finish. You said, we're going to finish the job. What job? Talking about the vaccine mandates, which are now being rolled back. People lost their jobs because of that. Lost their careers, their livelihoods. Military members were dishonorably discharged for not following an order when their religious exemptions were never even considered. They just got blanket denials, which is against the military code. So what's going to happen with all those? Okay. Yeah, sure. Then now they can you know, apply to get their DD 214 changed from dishonorable to, you know, general, and so they can possibly get their benefits back. But you know, how long is that going to take? You know, we already know their religious exemptions never went anywhere. Check out a video on Angry Cops. Angry Cops' channel did a great breakdown of what happens if you send a religious exemption to the military. It's basically the first guy you hand it to is going to fill out the denial letter before it even goes up the chain of command. So that's not the process that's supposed to happen. That's what happened. And so people were losing their jobs. People were forced to do something that they didn't want to do. That now we're learning that, yeah, there's some adverse reactions. In fact, more military members died from the vaccine than they did with COVID. There were, I think, 96, according to Angry Cops. 96 service members who died from COVID. Now, whether or not that's dying from COVID or dying with COVID, I don't know. Well, and I've probably said something that's going to get me banned on YouTube. But anyway, I better shut up before I say any more. The State of the Union, excuse me, State of the Union address was horrible. It was filled with lies, filled with deceit, filled with misinformation, smoke and mirrors, which is all the Democratic Party is made up with. If they ever did anything that they said they're going to do, they wouldn't have a platform and they wouldn't be able to rally people around them. If they ever codified Roe versus Wade, why didn't they do it when they had the majority in the Senate and the House? Why didn't they do it? Because they know if they made it law, if they codified it, then they wouldn't be able to use that as a rallying cry every single election cycle. You know, why do you only hear about Black Lives Matter every 4 years? Something happens, some tragedy, and then all of a sudden, all these politicians, Black Lives Matter. Sure, yeah, Black Lives Matter. White lives matter. Asian lives matter. Hispanic lives matter. Dare I say, all lives matter? So anyway, it was horrible, but it was exactly what I expected from a horrible president. So just be excellent to each other. Tuba Billy signing out. God be with you till we meet again.